How's it going, everyone? Tyler Dunn here at Go Along. Thank you so much for reading, listening, subscribing. We are completely powered by you. I am thrilled to bring you episode 3 of How the NFL Works. Pro Football Hall of Famer Ron Wolf meticulously breaks down how he resuscitated and resurrected the Green Bay Packers in the early 90s. Man, this was unbelievably insightful, start to finish. You're not going to want to miss everything that Ron gets into, from the trade for Brett Favre, signing Reggie White, hiring Mike Holmgren, all of the little maneuvers that go into building a winner then still very much apply to today. Very grateful that Ron Wolf spent an hour with us here at Go Long. This entire episode is available for Go Long subscribers. Thank you so much for supporting our completely independent long-form journalism. How the NFL Works, the Ty and Bob Pod, all columns, all features, everything always available to our subscribers. I hope you enjoy Ron Wolf here on How the NFL Works. What an honor to be sitting here talking football with one of the true legends of the game. Man, you've heard from him here at Go Along through various stories, and I know we've got a ton of Packer fans who would just like to say thank you, Ron. This is Ron Wolf, Pro Football Hall of Famer, a man who is as humble as he is significant and legendary to the sport itself. So he's not going to sing his own praise and rattle off his own accolades, but Bob Harlan's called you the savior of the franchise. Brett Favre has said nobody deserves more credit for turning the Green Bay Packers around, and I think there's many listeners who completely agree. Ron Wolf, thank you so much for hanging out with us here.
Well, very nice of you to have me on. Appreciate the opportunity.
How's life? How's retirement? Are you able to relax and get away from this crazy game a little bit?
Oh, yeah, no, I'm really away from the game, with the exception our son Elliot is involved with the Patriots. And if anybody's a football fan, they know they're not doing too well. So that kind of occupies my time, see how they're doing. But other than that, it's kind of nice to be away.
Well, if I can give your son a little credit here, I know Elliot had the keen eye to know that Baker Mayfield was a talent before most people, and now we're seeing the real Baker Mayfield. So, you know, maybe he was onto something there, and maybe he's onto something with Drake May. I think he'll get that thing turned around in New England. It takes a little time.
Yeah, hopefully that's true. You know, you're only as good as the players you pick. So if you're no good, you're going to be fired.
It's, you know, just sitting here talking with you, Ron, it's like I've had so many conversations with general managers and coaches, just, you know, Joe Shane, Terry Fontenot, so many people running these teams, and they try to find that secret sauce. Like, what does it take to take, you know, when you become a general manager, right, there's probably a reason you're the GM. The team was in a pretty bad state of affairs. What does it take to turn that thing around? It's picking the right players, but it's changing the culture, hiring the right coaches. And I can't think of a more extravagant reclamation project than the one you took on November of 1991, right? I mean, Green Bay, the prior 24 seasons, made the playoffs twice. Their record was 146, 201 and 9 ties, went through 5 coaches, free agencies looming. Who wants to live in Green Bay? I think there's a lot of real danger. Are the Green Bay Packers going to become obsolete? I guess we start there. Why take this job? And what's going through your mind, Ron Wolf, when you walk into those offices and you walk into Lambeau Field and you're wondering, how in the hell am I going to resurrect this once great franchise?
Well, the thing was, I wanted an opportunity to prove that I could do it. I didn't do a very good job in Tampa, and I thought it was all gone. However, 2 things happened. One, Dick Steinberg was hired by the Jets, and George Young was hired by the Giants. And they're my vintage, my age bracket. So I think, geez, I might have an opportunity here. And lo and behold, here came the opportunity from the Green Bay Packers and I was not going to turn that job down. To be quite frank, at that particular time, I really wasn't sure where Green Bay was. uh, in association with the weather, and I knew about the history. And the thing that kind of sold me was the job that Curly Lambeau did in utter free agency in building that dynamic football team that he did in a place like Green Bay. And you wonder, well, how did he do that? How was he able to do that? And, you talk about a legendary figure. There is a legendary figure. So anyway, I knew what it would take to turn a franchise around. You have to have a quarterback. My time in Tampa, we could never get a quarterback. And there was one in the draft. Tried to make some trades. They didn't work out. And eventually I got canned. But, that's a different story. I'm not interested in that. But you ask about that. And lo and behold, can you hear me?
Yeah, I got you.
Okay. Lo and behold, my first day on the job from a game standpoint, happened to be in Atlanta. And obviously playing the Falcons. And I had worked with Ken Earrock for a long time, and he was running the Falcons. He told me that if I wanted to see Brett Favre throw, I'd have to go down the field now, because when the team comes out, they won't let him throw. They won't let him participate. So I knew right away what? I got a chance to get the guy that I thought was the best player in the 1991 draft. And I knew what it was going to cost. I knew it was going to cost the number one. There's no question about that. Talked to Bob Harlan, who was sitting beside me, told him, we got a chance to get the quarterback that's going to turn this thing around. And he choked on his hot dog. But, he said, "I tell you what," he said, "we have an executive committee meeting on Tuesday. Bring it up to the board," which I did. And to make a long story short, we worked on it every day, and eventually was able to pull it off and trade him and get him. And lo and behold, guess what happened? He's the guy that turned this franchise completely around. Just a remarkable player. He was even better than I thought he was. The records he established, probably going to be tough to be broken. Just an incredible performer. And then we lucked out, able to get Mike Holmgren as a head football coach, and the dominoes started falling in place.
So you're the director of player personnel with the New York Jets, that 91 draft, and you hold the 34th overall pick, and you're going to take Brett Favre with that pick, correct? I mean, you had conviction then.
Yeah, no question. We were going to take Brett Favre, but they had used that pick on Rob Moore in a supplemental draft. So Steinberg was working the phones, trying to get up to get Favre. Thought he had a deal. And when the Cardinals came up, I think the Cardinals might have been in front, might have been third. They said, "No, we're going to pay the guy that we want is there." So, fortunately for me, the Jets lost Brett Favre.
It's amazing. I mean, you look at where the Jets have been since at the quarterback position too to this day. But what were those moments, Ron, where you got that conviction on Brett Favre when he's at? Is there a game at Southern Miss? Is there a practice? I think there was a scrimmage that maybe you saw even in Portland at one point. Like, how did you get to that point where you're okay as the GM of the Packers, staking your career on that trading a first-round pick for Brett Favre, but a complete unknown?
Well, I had an opportunity to go to Southern Miss and watch him play. And he had that serious automobile accident and lost 30 inches of his something or other. I'm not sure what he lost, but
Right.
and he wasn't really at the time I was at Southern Mississippi. He wasn't the Brett Favre that usually played there. So as I was leaving, a guy named Famous Coleman, one of the great names in college football, said I need to look at him from the previous year, which I did, and wow, I was amazed at how lightning, how good he was. And then I went to bowl games, East-West game. He was a dominant player in that game. Played the whole game at quarterback, and then the Falcons were scrimmaging the Seattle Seahawks in Portland, Oregon, and I flew out there for that. And again, with him, the field kind of dominated in his favor. Whenever I saw him, he controlled the game. And I honestly believe that the field did dominate because he dominated the game. And that was a selling point.
All righty, to get the full episode with Pro Football Hall of Famer Ron Wolf, just upgrade to a paid subscription here at golongtd.com. $8 per month or $50 for the entire year will get you access to every episode of How the NFL Works. I'm going to be talking with players, coaches, execs, scouts throughout the NFL all season long to take you behind the curtain and bring you pro football coverage in the real, in the raw. That's always the goal here at Go Long, be it on the podcast and, of course, with our long form writing. Several team deep dives coming, several player profiles. We'll always try to bring you something different than the mainstream out there. And as always, we're powered completely by you. Thank you so much for blowing some wind into our pirate sails. We greatly appreciate you, and you are not going to want to miss this full episode with Ron Wolf. He meticulously breaks down exactly how he brought the Green Bay Packers back to prominence, tapping into the Lombardi days. Paul Hornung, Jim Taylor, Bart Starr, Ron Wolf knew what it took to get back to those days, and really all of the lessons that he used in the 90s apply to today, starting with that need, of course, to find a quarterback, but it's so much bigger than that. You're really going to enjoy this. Learn so much, a ton of insight from one of the absolute best football minds in the history of the sport. Thank you so much for considering a subscription and for reading everything here at Go Long.